What is the real difference between motivation and discipline? Most people sit on the sidelines waiting to feel ready, when what they really need is a routine that makes readiness irrelevant. That's what we're talking about today. Let's go ahead and get to it. What's going on, everyone? Welcome to another episode of the Success Spectrum Podcast. I'm your host, Kadeem McLean. Today, I want to ask you something. Have any of you ever had somebody walk up to you, or somebody you know, a family member, a friend, a loved one, tell you that you are so lucky? You did something, you got a new opportunity, you made a step forward in your life, you made some progress, and they say you're lucky. Meanwhile, they don't know the discipline that you had to have, the sweat, blood, and tears that you had to put into making this luck a reality. People don't realize that preparation plus opportunity is what luck really is. And when you have that discipline, you're building towards something. You are putting in that preparation so that when that opportunity comes, of course, you succeed. I've had it in my life where people have walked up to me and tell me, "Oh, you're so lucky, Kadeem. You got a great position where you can do this, that, and the third. This is what you were looking for." I'm not lucky. I put in 5+ years to get to this point. "Oh, you're so lucky. You wrote a book," and so on and so forth. No, I put in time, effort, and energy to make this happen. So they don't realize the discipline, because on the outside looking in, discipline looks like luck. The reason we're talking about discipline here is because motivation is important. I want to make sure I put an emphasis on this. Motivation is so important. If it weren't, it wouldn't exist. I'll put it that way for the most part. However, motivation fades, discipline stays. Motivation is great, but as an entrepreneur, a lot of you might get started in entrepreneurship because you feel an emotional high. But what happens when that emotion fades? Do you stay consistent? Do you stay disciplined? Do you continue to help people and grow your business? Probably not. That's why discipline is so important and why we want to dive into that today. Because once that spark of motivation is gone, we need to make sure that we can rebuild or even sustain. Because once that spark of motivation and momentum is gone, we need to make sure that we can maintain or rebuild consistency through discipline, which is why we need to make it part of our identity. Create identity-based habits instead of relying on this emotional spike. Yes, I said emotional spike. Motivation, that's what it is really for the most part. It's an emotional high, an emotional spark. That's why they say when you tell somebody your why, your reason for doing something, for building this business, it should make you cry because it's emotional, it hits you. And it's a good thing. Again, we need motivation. However, discipline is structural. Motivation is emotional, discipline is structural. Motivation gets you started, but again, it fluctuates. And how can I put it? I'll put it this way. Discipline removes decision fatigue by creating something that works even when you don't feel like working, right? When you don't feel like working, you're still going to get up and do this thing because you've created a discipline, a habit, and you made it part of your identity. And that's the big piece or difference here, is it needs to be a part of your identity. Not, I feel like it today, I'm going to do it. I don't feel like it, I'm not going to do it. Because you will not build a business. You will not do anything substantial in your life. You will not do anything substantial in your life if that is how you operate. People always revert to the level of their habits, not what they hope for, not what they wish for, not what they dream about. They revert back to their habits. What do you do regularly? For me, when I'm not in the gym regularly, I feel off, completely off. My mind doesn't operate the way it's supposed to. I don't feel necessarily, how can I put it? I don't necessarily feel my best. I feel a lack of clarity. I move a little bit more sluggish. I operate a little differently. I'll relax a little bit more or give myself more excuses. When I'm in the gym, different ball game. And for me, being in the gym, being active it's part of my identity. When I'm not doing it, I don't feel myself. When I am doing it, okay, great. Kadeem is here. We can play this ball game now. We can move forward. We can go after this, building this business. We can go out and help some people. We can think more clearly. We're not relaxing as much. We're doing what we've got to do. It's a part of my identity. I don't feel myself and I don't feel right when I'm not in the gym, when I'm not talking to certain people, helping certain people, doing what I do, because it's part of who I am. So again, about making it part of your identity. Repetition creates reliability. When we continuously do something, we repeat something, that is when we build that reliability. And guess what reliability builds? It builds results. We always hear about consistency. We need to make sure we are consistent in doing what must be done in this case, repetition, because when we do that repetition, it creates reliability, and reliability creates results. But we cannot be reliable, or rather continue to repeat something, if we are relying on the motivation or feeling of doing the thing, because that feeling is going to be there one day. It'll be there one morning, but then by afternoon, evening, it's gone. What are you going to do then if you're relying on this motivation to get it done? Motivation, again, is important, but the discipline, are you a disciplined person? Are you disciplined in this one specific thing? Here's the thing about this. You are disciplined in at least one area of your life, at the very least one area. So when it comes to building your business, how can you utilize that? I would say dissect it. Why are you disciplined in this specific area? Why are you disciplined in showing up for your employer, but you're not showing up for yourself on your own business and for your own family, for your own future generations, right? Your descendants. Why are you disciplined in making sure you're not late, you're early, you're on time for work, but then when it comes to doing so for family gatherings and so on, you're late? Why are you disciplined in those cases? Dissect it, figure out why, and transform it or translate it into your business or something you want to be disciplined in. What if I told you that every goal you quit on dies from inconsistency, not inability? If you do something long enough, with enough effort, right, with enough focus, and do it for long enough, consistently enough, you'll probably get pretty decent at it. It might take some time, but you'll probably get pretty decent at it. So it's not an inability, it's just an inconsistency thing. You started it, but you stopped it. And that's the problem with a lot of us. We'll start something, we'll stop it. We'll start, we'll stop. We'll stop, we'll start. And that's why we don't end up building a business. So how long are you going to commit to this thing? You're starting a business. How long are you going to commit to this thing before you really see a change or decide to switch routes a little bit, right? To adjust, call an audible. How long are you going to stick to it? Because if you start something without telling yourself, I'm going to stick to this for X amount of years before I really make a shift and stop or give up on it, you might face some challenges in that first 3 to 6 months and say, okay, I'm done, I'm out, because you didn't give yourself a timeline for this thing. Not that if you say, I'm going to give myself a year, when the year comes, you have to quit or keep going per se, but at least you know there's a time frame to say, okay, at the very minimum, a year. Continue after that if you're seeing a little bit of progress, even if you haven't hit your mark per se. But how long are you going to give this thing? Because that, I think, is a commitment you got to make to yourself before you start, which will help you to have a level of discipline. I'm only doing this for 12 months. It's just 12 months. I've got to commit to this thing and I'm going to get it done. It can become a part of your identity if you do it that way, if that makes sense. Now, true freedom comes from self-command, because you're creating a contract with yourself in that case, not convenience. True freedom comes from self-command, not convenience. Are you making the promises you keep to yourself? Sometimes I do personally, sometimes I don't. More and more I do. Why? Because I know that directly relates to my confidence, my integrity, my self-esteem, if you will. And if I can make a promise to somebody else and show up for them, how in the world can I not make a promise to myself and show up for me? How can you not make a promise to yourself and show up for you? That's essentially how I see discipline. You tell yourself you're going to do something and you do it to the absolute best. You get it done. Never mind best of your ability. You get it done. Whatever you need to put in place. If it's drinking water, do you constantly carry around your water bottle and sip it throughout the day, right? Are you refilling it as soon as it's done? If it's drinking water first thing in the morning, do you put a cup of water beside your bed or a bottle of water beside your bed before you go to bed? So when you wake up, it's there for you. What is it? If it's eating healthier, are you doing the steps required to help you to eat healthier? Are you getting rid of the junk in your house and only filling your cupboards and your fridge with healthier food? Discipline. There's so many instances I can think of. For example, going to the gym. What would I do? For a little bit, I was out of the gym, right? A little health challenge. I was out of the gym for a little bit. Maybe when I say out of the gym, I mean, I wasn't consistently going. I may have gone once a week, 2 times, maybe 3 times a week on a good week. And that was for about a month, maybe 2 months. However, I made a shift, right? How did I get back into the gym when that happened? Again, being out of the gym for that 2 months, every single day, it weighed on me because it's a part of who I am. It's my identity. If I'm not in the gym, I'm not doing what I, Kadeem McLean, am supposed to be doing. And that's essentially how it should feel, I would say, when you are not disciplined, when you don't keep that promise you make to yourself. How did I get back into it? It took a little bit of energy, took a little bit of effort. What did I do? I grabbed my gym bag. I put on my gym clothes, put on my shoes, I walk to the gym, and I get to the gym. It's that simple. I don't have to sit here and think about it, because once I think about it, that's where problems come in, and that's where I can talk myself out of going to the gym. Same thing for you. I would say once you have discipline, and you don't just get discipline, so I shouldn't even say it like that, but when you really want to operate with discipline, you'll realize you got to stop thinking about this thing. As soon as you start thinking about the thing, you're going to give yourself excuses. Act before the excuse comes in. Act before the thought comes in. Waking up at 5 a.m. Guess what you got to do? Don't sit in that bed for 30 seconds. As soon as you open your eyes, you get up. Because if you stay in that bed for 30 seconds, you're probably going to talk yourself out of it. You'll roll over. Next thing you know, it's 6 o'clock. It's 6:30. It's 7. So again, act before the thought sets in. And that is a way of exercising that self-command we just talked about. As a subscriber to this podcast or a listener to this podcast, I want to give you $30. How am I going to do that? Enter Rakuten. Rakuten is a platform where you can find deals of the week. And on here, it doesn't matter if you're looking for clothes, doesn't matter if you're looking for electronics, services, food, you can get cash back. $30 cash back, rather 30%, 20%, 4%. You can get Dyson Yeti. I know a lot of us need to file our taxes. Those of us who are late, you can use Intuit TurboTax to file your taxes. Ancestry. There are deals upon deals on here. And here's how it's going to work. I refer you. You click the link in the description. You spend $30 on this platform. Guess what? We both get $30 back. Sounds like a win-win deal, doesn't it? Go ahead and click that link in the description and get yourself your $30. We talked about some of these already, but just to reiterate, some practical steps to build discipline for you. Anchor your actions to identity, not feeling, right? So I'm the type of person who gets up at 5 a.m. and goes to the gym. I'm the type of person who gets up at 5 a.m. and prays, who gets up at 5 a.m. and reads a book. I'm whatever it is for you. I'm the type of person who goes for a walk every single day. I'm the type of person who only drinks water, whatever it might be. What are you aiming to accomplish, to achieve? I am the type of person who does the very best in everything that I do. I'm the type of person who walks into the room and looks for that person who needs help, whatever it might be. Schedule your priorities instead of prioritizing your schedule. This one's for anybody who's like me. I will put things in my schedule. Important, not super important, just tasks, things I've got to get done. And I will live by this schedule. But what I need to be doing is kind of living by my priorities as opposed to just living by my schedule. So again, schedule your priorities. Don't just live and prioritize your schedule. Track progress visually to see discipline compound, right? We need to see discipline compound, and that's the only way you're going to see it is if you track it. If it's not measured, it doesn't grow. If it's not measured, you don't know what you're doing. We need to know the numbers. We need to know what's going on. I know not all of us are number people, let's say. However, you need to visually see for yourself, is this thing working? Because that often gives a little bit extra motivation. You see how that all tied in? That gives a little bit extra motivation to keep going with this thing. So the main takeaway here is motivation will get you started. Motivation is important, but discipline will make sure that you arrive at this destination. When you stop chasing emotion and start mastering execution, that is when you unlock unstoppable momentum. And if you want help unlocking unstoppable momentum, I want to do a 45-minute consultation with you. I want to help you. I want to help you go through this process and have a conversation to see how I can help you do that by understanding who you are, show you your strengths, and maybe some blind spots that you might have that you're missing to help you see the missing pieces to help you get to where you're going. If you found this helpful, share it out with somebody. Kadeem here. Appreciate you for listening, and I'll see you on the next one.